President Biden tonight celebrating our nation's history.
Happy Independence Day!
With his political future on the line. As sources tell NBC News, the next few days of his campaign are critical after last week's disastrous debate performance, which the president acknowledged in a radio interview that aired today.
I screwed up. I made a mistake. That's 90 minutes on stage. Look at what I've done in 3.5 years.
Mr. Biden insisting he's committed to staying in the race.
You got me, man. I'm not going anywhere. All right.
The public confidence comes as NBC News has learned the president is privately torn between defiance and acceptance amid calls to step aside, according to 4 people familiar with the matter, signaling in some conversations with allies, aides, and family members that the blowback may grow too large to overcome.
Yeah, he just quit, he's quitting the race.
Former President Trump made those false claims in a video he shared on social media, in which he also speculated over Vice President Kamala Harris becoming the Democratic nominee.
I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so bad.
The Biden campaign slamming those comments, writing, "No, Donald. What is bad is running on a platform of your revenge and retribution." The VP and President Biden met last night with more than 20 Democratic governors, now rallying around his candidacy.
I believe in this man. I believe in his character. I believe that he has been one of the most transformative presidents in our collective lifetimes.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, campaigning in Michigan today, confirmed details of that White House meeting in which President Biden said he may limit events in the evening to get more sleep. When asked by one of the governors whether he had seen a doctor following the debate, the president conceded he had a brief checkup a few days after and was fine, according to 2 sources in the room, contradicting his own press secretary, who earlier in the day said,
"No, he was not checked by the doctor."
Monica joins us now from the White House. And Mon, talk us through the intense spotlight on the president's next 24 hours.
Well, tomorrow he'll appear in that first televised interview since the debate, looking to reassure voters and leaders within his own party. But some allies of the president are saying already that just one sit-down may not be enough to address their concerns. Hallie.
And Monica, I've heard from campaign sources pushing back on the polling, showing a bit of a dip for the president. But elected Democratic leaders are also looking to see where donors go. And there's movement on that front now.
And we're starting to see some big dollar donors, including Reed Hastings, who co-founded Netflix, call on the president to exit the race, while Biden campaign officials insist they've seen some strong grassroots support in the past week, though the pressure is quite intense. Hallie.
Monica Alba, live at the White House. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.